Hello everybody, it's time for week 8 of the KCM, our final regular season week. We've got Royal versus Jaedong to start us off. Jane Doe is the map. Let's get it going. Here it is, boys. Our final regular week. Not much to play for here aside from the all-kill prize, which has been growing and growing all season.
Yeah.
But aside from that, boys, Zerg is going to be going through to the finals. Terran and Protoss will be facing off in the semis.
I mean, even though they're already through to the finals, they're not messing around. They brought out Soma and Jaedong in this lineup, as well as Action, and 76% prediction for a win there, just because of how much respect and fear there is for Soma and Jaedong right now, both playing kind of out of their minds. Got a pretty good squad for Terran and Protoss. Royal, JYJ, Sark. It's not too bad of a lineup. Royal's amazing, JYJ's a TVZ specialist, and Sark's been playing so much better as of late in the lead up to the ASL recently. And Protoss squad with Best and Mini, some pretty heavy hitters there. Have got the Toll God as well for their third slot. Should be an interesting week.
Yeah, I might have to take that name away from him here if he keeps playing as he has been in the previous few weeks. Like, he was looking pretty good here and there, but he has not been performing in KCM recently. He's still got that moniker there. A lot of people ask me, why do we call him YSC? Why don't we call him Tolbo or keep switching his name around? Well, it gets a little complicated when it comes to these Korean pros, man. They like to change their names up a lot.
Yeah, they do. And just for clarity, like, Tolbo is like a nickname, meaning like the hairy one in Korean, whereas YSC are the initials for his name, and most people know him by YSC. So we've been calling him YSC for a little bit longer after the name change, but eventually we can start calling him Tolbo if that would make you guys chill out.
If he makes you happy, yeah. Toll God is a pretty good name though too. That's actually what a lot of the Koreans have been calling him as well, at kind of a tongue-in-cheek way. But it's all in good fun, if he starts to play like a true god, that would be surprising to a lot of different people. He got a lot farther this season in ASL than really anybody expected, but he seems to have fallen back into his old ways as of late.
Yeah, I imagine he's like turned his training schedule down a little bit. A lot of players do. Like, a lot of players play insane hours and really grind hard leading up and during the ASL. But, once it's over, they kind of simmer down a little bit. Some players don't. Some players keep it turned on all year round, but it is pretty draining to play that intensely at a game as hard as Starcraft. Here, between Royal and Jaedong, it's like we got a 12 gas from Royal, going for a bit more of a factory expand style to kick things off here against Jaedong. We saw some interesting builds from Flash on this map included, where he did like a 3 factory into a 3rd base, which is pretty unheard of.
Yeah, he's always leading the meta. We haven't really seen anyone try to copy that style as of yet. We'll see if Royal wants to try that out. It's so out there, man. It's just so out of the normal. In fact, double starport here. Royal sticking with the ASL trend, which has been so powerful this season. Double Stargate has just come into its own in such a massive way.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a bad build at all, and it's not an all-in version of the 2-port Wraith. You went for factory expand into 2-port, so he's still going to have a strong economy and a transition point into bio from this as well, and will eventually be using those Wraiths more as a supporting role when he finally does push on the ground. But we'll be able to put on a lot of pressure to Jaedong still in the skies until he does finally make that transition.
By the way, guys, you might be hearing a little bit of a difference in my voice. That's because I'm on an older microphone here. I'm traveling right now. I'm in the EU, hanging out in Greece right now. And I'm going to be continuing on with the KCM. I'm also putting out some ladder casts and all that while I'm traveling. But we were just discussing earlier, Shun, the ASL is right around the corner. The next ASL is already coming right up here in August. So hardly any time to take a rest if you're training as someone like YSC. Like, you might want to turn down your training schedule for a couple weeks, but you don't want to start to fall off or, you know, start to lose your edge too much, as that's coming right up around the corner.
Yeah, Wraith already getting in here, putting some damage. See if he can get the drone. Not quite. Creep Conley does get made. But yeah, the ASL runs for just over like 2.5 months. So if you think about it, that's 5 months out of the year that the tournament's actually running. Not much space in between for relaxing. So a lot of guys do like to just keep their training schedule going year round. So it looks like Royal going to be getting at least a couple of overlords. There is a third overlord to the 12 o'clock, but he can't really go for that right now, even if he knew it was there, because obviously there'll be some Scourge and Mutalisk out to start to seize away some of that air superiority temporarily from Royal until that cloak finishes up.
There's an opportunity here for Jaedong. He could try to get hyper aggressive. Oh my goodness, he just can't quite connect with those wraiths, and there's going to be cloak finishing up here soon. There's the cloak just in time, running away over towards the north here, and that overlord going to be his point of safety. Jaedong might want to continue producing mutas and Scourge and try to keep the pressure on, defend this overlord, and push into this back base. However, the Wraiths are going for some counter-attacking. They're going to kill some overlords and drones, while meanwhile, Jaedong not able to challenge the turrets back at home.
Yeah, I mean, could be a slight mistake from Jaedong. Like, he should anticipate that Royal's going to get aggressive with that cloak, since it is a big energy investment, and has lost quite a significant amount of drones, as well as another overlord or two. Finally, we'll be able to start to get on top of these wraiths and shut them down as their energy reserves deplete. So it's not the worst compensation here for Jaedong if he can kill both of these remaining wraiths, and indeed he does. That's actually a pretty good deal for Jaedong, trading a few drones for the majority of these wraiths. Is going to take a lot of the wind out of the sails as Royal, and with this overlord that's slow boating down from the 12 o'clock, he now can put on more counter pressure.
And that overlord gives him the opportunity here to just continuously produce mutas, and in fact he did go for overlord speeds. The overlord's right here, ready to continue this pressure. However, back at home, Jaedong re-droning. He's not going to all in here with mutas, possibly going to be looking towards a transition instead.
I think that's the right call, because, I mean, as you can see, Royal's throwing down a ton of turrets. Like, there's a strong likelihood that if you do try and run it down on him, you won't be able to break. He's still going to come in here and poke a little bit, see if he can get on top of the race. Does find a Scourge connection on one of those wraiths, but hasn't got the best micro, it has to be said, at the moment. Jaedong not really getting the maximum end of the expected value range, and couldn't even delay the science facility going up either. So now we're going to see that big explosive bio transition coming out of Royal. But honestly, Jaedong has weathered the storm. He didn't get that much damage done with the wraiths. I feel like this game is pretty stabilized for Jaedong. I feel like he's going to have a fairly easy time navigating this into a mid-game macro.
I don't see the eBay here. It's got to be flashing as the +1 gets researched here for Royal. However, Jaedong has his +1 armor likely on the way as well, and will be switching into a bunch of lurkers here shortly. Now, the scary thing is, with those 2 ports already done, we could see Royal make a couple of dropships and go for a base like this in the back. There's 3 different locations to defend, and there's a lot of space to look for a drop opportunity. So Jaedong, with hardly any mutas left over, is he going to be able to deny the air? And in fact, it looks like he's going to lose quite a few drones over at this back base. Does need to bail out of here pretty soon, Royal, if he wants to keep these alive. There's one Scourge connection. The remainder of the race will escape for now.
Yeah, not a bad little poke there from Royal. Just trying to squeeze a few more drops out of the orange. Oh, there's another intercepting overlord. Actually going to get some moving shots on the last 2 remainder of these wraiths. Not that bad for Jaedong at all. Can't quite finish one of them off. Will be a little bit of time before Royal can actually start to move out onto the map. I mean, the Academy was only just finishing up a moment ago. So we'll take a little bit of time to get that stim upgrade and range upgrade all finished up. And by that time, Jaedong should have lurkers morphing as well. But like you said, with a couple of dropships, could maybe catch Jaedong by surprise in that back pocket expansion if he's not really on top of his scouting.
So far, just vessels coming out here for Royal. Was an opportunity there for Jaedong to try and dive in with a couple of Scourge and a few Mutas, but immediate irradiate on that, gonna deny everything. Royal comes down to the low ground and is in position to potentially take this third. You can push and take the third at the same time. It's part of the benefit of playing on Jane Doe. The third is so accessible, and you can really just rally everything directly to that natural in order to defend. One Wraith just sent down towards the bottom. Maybe a bit of a distraction play there from Royal as he starts to move forward. Jaedong's busy chasing after those.
Yeah, it definitely does look like he's trying to draw the attention away from Jaedong while he starts to move out on the ground. But there's a lot of lurkers finishing up for Jaedong. I kind of feel without dropships, there's not going to be enough wiggle room here for Royal to do much damage. And looks like Jaedong's even thinking about more of a forward posture as well. He's got these lurkers kind of positioned between the natural and the glow ground and the fourth base here. It doesn't look like there's much opportunity for Royal. And is that Jaedong taking a ninja expansion at 12 o'clock as well? There are some dropships coming out from Royal because he knows he has to bypass this frontal defense line somehow. There's going to be a Ling run by from Jaedong to boot, and this ninja expansion at 12 might go unscouted.
That's kind of wild. Yeah, that ninja expansion is crazy. Jaedong had some great micro there. Picking off one of the early vessels is fantastic. He finds it already. Wow, Royal scouts top center for no discernible reason. Sending a Marine to that location is kind of crazy, but he does spot everything out. Has not taken his natural here just yet. 4 dropships, huge commitment from Royal. He's gonna have to clear vision out of the center of the map to slip these dropships through, because Jaedong has eyes absolutely everywhere. It's just a tiny little area that Jaedong can't quite see just yet.
Oh, he's barely not seeing the dropships with those Lings and Scourge. He does pick off a science vessel, which is nice. He has got a couple of pair of Scourge in his main base, ready to clean up some potential dropships, but 4 is a lot. It's a very big commitment. Royal realizing that he has to kind of spin to win right now. Scans to see the position of the Scourge. Let's see how many bio units he can actually get unloaded from this. It does look like he only loses 1 dropship, so quite a significant count here in the main base, but Jaedong might already have Dark Swarm available. He has got the Defiler. I'm not sure if Consume was okay. Consume is done, so he can start to throw down some Cheeto dust clouds, but this could still do a lot of damage. He's killed most of those Zerglings. He's killed the Evo Chamber. He's targeting down the Defiler Mount now.
Ooh, lurkers coming in to the main base, trying their best to shut this down. Defiler Mount is so close, but it lives. Oh my gosh, it's incredibly low there. Royal unable to shut that down. That means that we'll have Plague online much quicker. If he could have denied that, would have slowed down the momentum here for Jaedong a lot. As it stands, he's already killed quite a few drones and one of the evolution chambers in the main base as well. Excellent damage for Royal, but he's lost his presence on the map.
Yeah, and that ninja expansion, it might be scouted, but he hasn't killed it yet, so Jaedong can maybe start to mine a few minerals there, maybe throw down the gas and really start to surge in his macro. I think Jaedong is kind of known for being really comfortable on this map, especially in macro games, so I'm a little bit worried for Royal. If he can't actually get out onto the map and start doing some damage to Jaedong soon, might find the Zerg running away with this game. He is trying to navigate his way to that north now. There's a lurker moving into position, but probably not enough to actually defend his attack. So it does look like Royal going to be able to at least get a snipe on this hatchery. That's something. That's a small win for the Terran.
Seems like those lurkers in the main base had a hard time moving over here to defend top center. And with that, Jaedong's third gas has been, or fourth gas, excuse me, has been denied. And the third gas in the back, in the bottom left, that's not going to last too much longer. Jaedong is going to have to struggle here to get that fourth base online as soon as possible, whether that be in the top left, top center, or bottom center. He's got to make a move coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, it does look like Jaedong's going for a bit of a Hydra Defiler style. Very cost efficient. We'll have to still continue to expand though, since he is even on bases with Royal. Let's see if he wants to try and take the top left base, or maybe just this natural fourth more towards the center. +2 Carapace now on these Zerg units. Another 2 dropships moving out. He's got some siege tanks defending back at home, but he's not yet wanting to commit those to an offensive, just because there's always this chance of a run by from the Zerg. Beautiful plague on the vessels as well. Trying to wrap around these units and cut off their path of retreat at the moment. Jaedong trying to whittle Royal down more and more, but honestly, Jaedong's not really growing that much, whereas Royal is slowly creeping up on supply. Good interception with these skirts. If he catches one of these dropships, that'll be huge. He doesn't quite get the perfect connection on it, but still manages to get the kill regardless, and now knows that the dropship will be in position to unload in that back pocket expansion. So there is some units making their way down, but not a lot. Maybe Royal can still get a few drone kills with this.
Yeah, it looks like he can get something out of it anyway. The dropship does fall, but drones have to evacuate. What if you end up dying and the top left is going to be under threat? And uh-oh, Jaedong is having a hard time getting this 4th base online. Time possibly for a double expand from him. You know, just grab 2 bases on opposite sides of the map can be a great solution to this whack-a-mole game that Royal's playing.
Yeah, I actually quite like the strategy here from Royal, and he's ever so slowly building up a tank count in the back line as well for later on. Looks like Jaedong going to be able to shut down this Bioforce here in the top left, but the damage has already been done. He's not expanding, he's not growing, and he will start to dry up on gas eventually. And for the time being, Royal, if he maintains this game state, might find himself into a better position. I think those vessels were already plagued, so I'm not sure if he needed to plague them again there, but at least guaranteeing that they didn't get repaired up and are still able to be one-shot by some Hydralisks later. And you can see now, finally, those pooled tanks will be able to make their way out onto the map as well. This could be a big power surge for Royal once he does bring those siege tanks to bear. Jaedong relegated to taking his 4th base now towards that center expansion. A little bit of SimCity issues from Royal though, having a hard job with his unit circulation, actually getting all of these units out to do an attack.
Yeah, this is going to be a massive power spike for Royal. He's coming out onto the map right as Jaedong is starting to falter with that 3rd gas winding down, running out of supply. Only 3,000 on that back geyser, so it does burn out very, very quickly. Jaedong working to get that next geyser online. He's going to try to push forward here, get into position on top of some of these tanks. If he can eliminate a few of these tanks right off the bat, it would be fantastic. It would really help him to shut down this push, but I don't see another Defiler with this. Okay, there is one Defiler in the back line. Dark Swarm on the front, on the high ground here. It's going to be fantastic. Killing a few tanks and slowing down Royal. Jaedong might still be able to pull it out here and get this 4th base online.
Yeah, he has killed quite a significant count of tanks. About 5 out of the 7 that Royal had. Not bad at all, and means he's much more likely to hold on to this newly acquired expansion towards the center now. And also going to be throwing down a 5th base in the top left. Royal throwing down his own 4th base on location now. And needs to be careful not to start bleeding some of these vessels. He has been repairing them up in between plagues. Can't afford to lose many more of them. He'll also be drying up on gas himself until he gets this base established. And they can't afford to make like 3 factories worth of tanks and constant vessel production as well. So if Jaedong can just continue to trade cost efficiently like this, eventually he'll whittle Royal down, especially if Royal's not able to keep playing that whack-a-mole style with these expansions as they pop up.
Getting over here under the Dark Swarm, but the Dark Swarm has already nearly run its course. It's going to be running out here pretty soon. Can he actually deny the command center before that happens? It would be a fantastic win, but it looks like that's just barely now going to run out. Another Defiler arrives. It looks like Jaedong can stifle this expansion, at least for now, while double expansion of his own is coming online. Top left is just about to finish, and center left just started mining that gas, I believe. Running forward here, saves the CC. That is a massive move from Royal. He can keep, 2 bases alive and mining for the time being. But a massive plague. Oh my gosh, we got it off screen. Holy, what a plague.
Wow, pretty much the entire army of Royal gonna be dropping down to very low HP here, and Jaedong pressing the issue now, surging forward with some units, picking off some of those low HP vessels as well. Even if most of these Hydras die, it doesn't matter. Look at how many vessels are being swiped out of the sky. Royal gonna hold on with a couple of D-Matrix tanks, but the damage has been done. Like, Jaedong's getting closer and closer to even on supply, and he's just traded off so much gas off the board, and Royal's not even mining Vespene gas at this 4th base yet. He can't afford to replace all those vessels.
Jeez. That was an incredible plague. It's too bad we didn't see that on screen. That was a plague-oo and a half, man. And perfectly taken advantage of as well, running forward with those Hydras and targeting down vessel after vessel. I'm not so sure about this attack, but he might be able to get a great plague on the rest of that army. Hydras on this high ground, immediately gunning down that drop ship and shutting down the counterattack of Royal. There was indeed a very solid plague in the middle of a lot of these tanks, and Jaedong is keeping this pressure on. He's growing in supply and he's continuing to push forward.
Yeah, this is fantastic play from Jaedong, man. There's just not a response from Royal. I think he's throwing out a few dropships here and there when he can, but he can't commit too many forces out onto the map in those dropships, and nor can he afford to keep producing those dropships if he wants to maintain a vessel count. Jaedong is just pressing the issue left and right. Even if he doesn't get a lot of damage done, he just needs to keep Royal on this side of the map. It looks like good trades here potentially from Royal. Oh, but he's not scanning. If he scanned, he would have easily dealt with those lurkers there, but ended up losing a lot. And he's actually plagued the CC. Look how low HP the CC is getting. Oh my gosh, it's so close to dying. He's just barely repairing it. I wonder if he can get over here with these 2 lurkers and finish it off or not. Not quite.
He got it. He got it. The Irradiate plus the tanks there are going to finish that last lurker off. So Royal will keep the CC alive. That was very, very close. It seemed like that engagement in the middle of the map, neither player was paying attention initially, and then Jaedong picked up on it just slightly faster than Royal and got the better end of the stick. He's been doing that a lot here in this game, just outperforming Royal a little bit with the multitasking here and there and getting better and better trades, which have sort of surmounted this pretty significant lead. Royal is struggling now to try and push out, finally get some momentum on the map, but Jaedong has that double expansion fully up and running now and is pumping huge amounts of Hydra, Lurker, Defiler to just continue to pressure down Royal bit by bit as he begins to dry up.
Kind of blown away by Jaedong's performance, honestly. Like, you don't see that many Zergs that are really good at macro games on Jane Doe, and Jaedong kind of seems like the exception to the rule about that, and he's just happy to sit back and build up and trade over and over again with Royal. And I mean, Royal's mined out. He's basically on 1 base worth economy, and Jaedong's still got about 3 until that back pocket expansion starts to dry up. And now Jaedong taking a backup expansion at the 12 o'clock. If he can keep Royal back, there's not going to be much hope for Royal continuing to squash these bases of Jaedong. And even if he does rotate up here to kill this expansion, it means he'll then be open up for attack himself. There's no real easy answers for the Terran here. He just has to try and hope that Jaedong makes a few missteps and he can seize back some tempo somehow.
Ooh, another great plague. Oh, it's so painful. Royal not close enough to his tanks there to be defended. Will end up losing a lot of this bio. Doesn't really have any medics with this either. Hydras are trading pretty darn well. Eventually that will change as the medics arrive, but the plague plus the flank here, absolutely fantastic. Jaedong looking to get another base online, and he is just trading better and better, man. Honestly, his micro is improving as we watch this game.
Yeah, it's insane, and looks like there is actually a lot more minerals in this natural expansion for Royal than I initially thought. So technically he's on 2 bases for a little bit longer than I anticipated, but he's still in a lot of trouble. Jaedong is very close to even on supply, And yeah, Royal really desperately needs to get out onto the map and actually start putting the pressure back onto Jaedong and start knocking out some of these expansions. But it looks very arduous of a task with just such small squads of units, just a few Hydras here and there, a couple of Lurkers, and a Defiler in support. He's able to whittle down the bulk of the pressure that Royal is able to put onto him. And there's not much ground that's been gained. Royal has been building up a tank count gradually yet again, so maybe he can finally start to come out on the map. That's a pretty beautiful plague, and with the Lurkers underneath the Dark Swarm, it's really shutting down the mobility. And one thing that Royal hasn't been able to afford is any upgrades on these tanks. So they're still on 0-0. They're not hitting as hard as they could be.
That makes a massive difference. If you're able to get, you know, 1 or 2 upgrades on these tanks, they just shred the Hydras so much better under the Dark Swarm. They smash through the Lurkers so much more quickly. And when you're invested this heavily into tanks, it almost seems crazy not to get a couple of those upgrades rolling. But Royal's just been pressed so hard this whole game that he really hasn't been able to afford that. And he has a massive tank count now, but he can't really do much more than defend here with a similar supply to Jaedong. Trying to set up this base in the bottom right is the best he can do.
Yeah, Jaedong's actually opened up the temple to the north as well. So there's 2 avenues of attack to the 12 o'clock, as well as this natural 4th location of Royal. Royal's got the bottom right going for himself now, so he is continuing to grow. Let's see if Royal gets a bit ambitious. Sorry, he mined out the mineral patch, didn't kill the temple here, but he still has access to this 12 o'clock position from both sides now. I don't know if Royal can actually attack into that without leveraging all of his siege tanks, though, because Dark Swarm will shut that down too easily. And you can see as soon as he goes for moving towards that northern location, Jaedong just comes in here with a counter attack. Jaedong was kind of just baiting Royal to making a move like this to open up the position, and you can see how cost efficient it is. Look at how few units Jaedong is committing and how much units Royal is losing. He's basically lost like most of his army now, and Jaedong's actually eclipsing him in supply by a significant margin. GG is scored, and Jaedong with a fantastic display on Jaedong, getting a win on the board for the Zerg squad.
All right, Jaedong, guys, has the opportunity to get that all kill. Only has to defeat 2 Protoss players and 2 Terran players to make that happen now. Is the next opponent, Mini, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. 5,700,000 won. That's a lot of money, man. Mini could also get that all kill prize. If he takes out Jaedong here, could try to reverse sweep. It is a long road. It's a tough road with Soma there as well, but it is indeed doable.
Yeah, that's a lot of cheddar. That works out to about $3,700. Nothing to sneeze at, saying. I imagine a lot of these guys are going to be more or less playing for that all-kill prize, since the semi-finals and finals will be somewhat set in stone with the point structure right now. But this all-kill prize has just been rolling over like the lottery over and over again. It's getting juicier and juicier each week, and definitely possible for one of these guys to take it. But pretty much all season long, we've rarely seen a player able to get like more than like 1 or 2 kills. There's been like a few triple kills from some of these guys, but not the kind of like back-to-back all kills that we've seen in like previous KCMs.
It's been an incredibly close season. Despite, you know, Zerg playing out ahead there at the very end, we've had a lot of back and forth with basically every week going to the final game, right? Like, I don't think we've had a week where we didn't see an 8th game. Oh gosh, Jaedong loses his 3rd drone. What a terrible way to start off as ZVP, but Mini just relentless with the probe, making that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mini. He's so good in early game micro and optimizations, and looks like this cannon is well optimized for the Ling timing as well. If he had 6, maybe he could go for a run-by attempt or something like that, but at the moment looks like he's not going to be able to find any compensation. Go on.
He did make 6, but he's actually holding 2 back. So,
okay,
not going to go for the run by, it seems. But hiding 2 Lings is kind of tricky, and maybe he was expecting Mini to try to run by, and then he was going to flank that, try to catch it as it goes into the main. But that doesn't come to fruition. Jaedong just going to push that back and grab his third base now.
Okay. Well, this should be a somewhat... it's hard to say it's going to be a somewhat normal macro game when Mini's involved. Like, he does have these very interesting builds where he'll, like, make, like, an earlier, you know, second gateway and get a very quick +1 and leg enhancements and go for these weird timings that pretty much every other Protoss player doesn't do. So we'll have to see exactly what Mini's game plan is. He's certainly capable of playing an orthodox style, but he also is so good at optimizing some of these more niche builds. So it's hard to say this is going to be a macro game yet. We can see a lot of spiciness out of Mini.
Yeah, we can see some crazy plays from him for sure. Very well known versus DT. Shenanigans, winning games over Zerg players with just one unit slipping by into the main. It's incredible what it can do in a moment of panic when the Zerg player is microing on the front lines. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Drones being pulled? What? Is this just transferring?
Just a transfer.
What?
It surely is. What is going on?
Hold on. Is he Ling all-inning?
What?
He's making all lings.
He must be. Yes, he is. I've done this in the past.
Crap.
Like, if there's just one cannon and you use the drones to glitch out the zealots in the wall and you slip the lings by to actually surround that cannon, it's actually quite hard to hold unless they immediately see it and start pulling the probes right off the bat. But if you don't know the drones are coming, if you don't know these Zerglings are on the way, it's actually pretty hold for Protoss with just one cannon.
Does he have the view on a mineral patch? I don't think he can see a mineral patch. Why is the Overlord not there? Oh my goodness.
He's
He's gonna mine the mineral. Oh my goodness. Well, unfortunately, he's just gonna target with the cannon there. He targeted down one of the drones. He is gonna get in though. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. On the left-hand side, the probes blocking in everything. The zealots are actually gonna get pretty closely surrounded. Two lings are attacking the cannon. One more ling from the back. Another ling here on the side. He's gonna get the cannon. The cannon goes down. The probes are being killed. And I think he's done it here. He's gonna kill the pylon. The only one powering this gateway. He's done it, man. Jaedong has pulled off a miraculous attack here on a match point. That is incredible.
Seriously sick. He brought an extra drone so that if one died, like Mini did target those drones manually with the cannon initially, but there were two extra drones to finish mining out that block. Really good probe control from Mini to start things off. He did start blocking the choke up as the mineral got mined out, but it just wasn't quite good enough to actually gain control of his natural expansion again. He's losing so many probes. He's desperately trying to hold the line for these cannons to maybe finish up, and maybe there's not enough lings in transit to finish off the job, but it does look like that is the case, and GG is called. Jaedong with a very rare build beating out Mini there. That's some crazy play from Jaedong. I initially thought those were to be drilled to push the zealots out of the wall, but he actually was just going for that mineral mine out. And it makes sense that he brought three, knowing that you could just target down one of those drones with the cannon.
All right, a seriously sick bust from Jaedong there in game number 2. Mini has been eliminated. Got to be sour about that one, man. We haven't seen a bust like that on match point all season, man, but brilliantly done by Jaedong, smashing it so far this week and heading directly towards that all-kill prize.
Yeah, I was just saying to saying off air that theoretically Mini could have hotkeyed that cannon and targeted down the second drone that wasn't mining first. Theoretically, you have enough time to kill 2 drones before that mineral patch gets mined out, but it was just too much for him to control. He was scrambling to get his probes into position. There's just so many things you have to click on in those situations. You can't really do it all unless you're an absolute god-tier gamer. And unfortunately, despite the good probe pull and response overall, wasn't enough to shut down Jaedong here. And Jaedong is on the case to try and secure this all-kill prize. Just needs to kill another few players, and he's got it.
And what is this drone doing right now? Okay, he's checking the center of the map for cheeky 8 racks, it looks like. Just getting off a really early scout here to cover all his bases. And in fact, if there was a CC first or something like that, would still be a fantastic move. As it stands, he will be able to force a second SCV off the line here at the very least. May even get an SCV kill if he gets a little bit lucky here and has some good control. But Sock already on top of this. He's going to try to pull this SCV. 5 HP, one more shot on that. Can he actually get it? It's so close right now. Trying to block the repair. Okay, he's done it. He saved it. Really, really close there, but at least he forces some lost mining time.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like, Jaedong wants a little bit of compensation for that early drone scout, forcing a few SCVs off the line and getting a repair bill. When you're up against a Rax FE, you kind of need to squeeze something out of the Terran or you're just straight up behind. But I do like the idea of the drone scout. I mean, Sark's a very tech-centric player. It was possible that he was going for like a 8 Rax into a gas build here. And also, if he wanted to play a macro game, a CC first is in the cards as well. So I like the drone scout from Jaedong. Makes a bit of sense. It does kind of put him a little bit behind if he doesn't find compensation. He almost kills the SCV, forces out a repair bill, and pulled SCVs overall, though. So I feel like it's slightly more normalized now.
Yeah, it seems like things will be relatively even going forward. Jaedong has his hatchery finished up here in the natural, and his pool finish up as well. So Ling's going to be coming out here soon. Looks like the layer is nicely timed here as well. Sock not going to be doing, you know, that 1-1-1 play you're talking about, but will he still try to do something tricky behind this? Is he going to go into a Valkyrie play? What kind of style are we going to see out of him? Because he has been known to pull out some sneaky builds. There we go. A factory here in the natural, trying to hide that away, tuck that in the corner. What is the plan from Sock?
Sock loves to do all kinds of craziness. Like, he'll happily try and do like Valkyries into mech even. You can never really rule out what strategy he's willing or not willing to do. He is going for this early factory. Let's see if he wants to, like you say, do like a more normal Valkyrie build, or if he's going to get super spicy with it. He does love to do transitional builds and has gotten pretty damn good at it as well. Like, oh, he's getting a slowdown on the Spire timing. That's a pretty big deal. Like, seconds really do matter with your Mutalisk timing, especially if you're doing like a 1-1-1 build as the Terran. Every second that you can squeeze out from the Zerg seriously matters, because there's like this window where you like don't have all your turrets finished up and you're kind of skimpy on defense as well to make sure you can curve out all of your build. So this is actually a pretty big deal for Zerg.
Sock has that starport going up in the main and a armory as well. So Valkyrie build is on the table, but the add-on here makes me think he's going to try a run by as well. He's been making non-stop Marines, so Jaedong might be fooled into thinking that this is some sort of, you know, Rax pressure. Possibly, you know, a +1 build coming up behind this, but it's not going to be the case. In fact, he might be able to push away these initial Lings, start to force them back, and then slip out with the vultures out onto the map and get a bit of a backstab going right as the mutas are coming across the map.
It does look like that will be the case, and let's see how well executed is. Oh, there is like a little overlord position to the left here of the natural. I'm not sure how deep that overlord's going to fly. Maybe it should be able to see these vultures moving out there. That's a huge deal. Yeah, that's a great spot for Jaedong. I had a feeling he might see these vultures with that overlord, and indeed he does. Let's see how he responds. He'll have the Mutalisks to defend, but you know, that's not always great for Zerg. If you're busy like using your mutas to chase around vultures and stop them from killing drones, like, you actually aren't putting any pressure onto the Terran. So, you know, Terran can delay their turret timings and and make that build. Oh, he's actually
Whoa.
not. This is a bit surprising. I can't believe these vultures are actually going to get into the main base here. And if he does good target firing with the vultures, if you connect with both fragmentation grenades simultaneously, you can one-shot drones. But if they don't land simultaneously, the drone obviously regenerates 1 HP. Does get a couple of drones. I guess it's not too crazy. A little bit surprised to see those vultures actually get in there, but I guess they don't kill too much.
Well, the big thing for these vultures is that he hasn't been able to delay the third base. Oh my god, is he actually gonna get back in here again? You've got to be kidding me. There's no way he lets these in for a second time. Jaedong losing 2 drones immediately. Doesn't have that sunken colony here at the front at all. Combine that with a few lings on the ramp, and you basically shut out the vultures from really doing any sort of a run by. And he is going to get that sunken colony now, but he's done exactly what you said, Shin. Delayed the Mutilus stab long enough to where there's a good chunk of Valkyries and Marines now to completely shut down any sort of aggression from Jaedong. So Sock's going to be feeling pretty good about how this vulture opener has gone, and Jaedong's going to be in a bit of trouble, man. He's got to start a transition here pretty soon. Otherwise, he's not going to have anything to fight against this army when the Valkyries are in high enough number. Ooh, the dive! Okay. Oh my god, he got both of them.
Wow. Okay.
Well, there
that
it
changes
is.
things.
Yeah.
He delayed a few of those buildings finishing up and forced a trade, and then got the 2 Valkyries. Those first 2 Valkyries are like gold dust for the Terran, so now Jaedong's done enough heavy lifting to be comfortable, and like you were saying earlier as well, he didn't get deterred in setting up this third base by those vultures. So yeah, Jaedong's kind of sitting pretty right now. It's a slightly late Queen's Nest, but considering it's a Valkyrie build, it's actually not that bad. Oh my god! Gets the 3rd Valkyrie as well. What are we seeing today? Jaedong is on track to getting that whole kill prize if he keeps playing insane like this. I mean, he even made the mistake of letting those vultures slip by and get quite a few drones, and it still doesn't matter.
Oh, Sock making some really serious mistakes. It was actually looking very good for him, you know, after slipping by and delaying everything. If he had been able to not dive in with the Valkyries or not allow them to fire. Oh, he's gonna lose another one. Barely doesn't lose that. Holy cow, that was close. But if he had managed to keep those Valkyries alive just for a little while longer, he would have had 4 Valkyries, and suddenly it would have been undeniable. The push would have been so strong, so difficult to stop. As it stands, Jaedong is going to be hitting this transition. Army is coming out across the map. It's a pretty scary one, but without the Valkyrie cover, mutas are still going to be very useful in shutting this down.
Yeah, let's see if Sark can do anything with this or not. I mean, Overlord's going to see the army in transit. He needs to get this tank. Let's see if he can actually pick off that tank. Needs 3 volleys to finish it off. Hasn't quite found that yet. Valkyrie's actually a little bit softened up still from earlier. SCV trying to get that repaired up. Looks like the attack might be able to put on a little bit of pressure since the tank didn't get picked off. Has got 2 up here in the front line, but good
Marines.
micro from Jaedong. Yeah, he needs this Valkyrie, and it's just going to get sniped by the Scourge, and there's not enough Marines left. I guess the Mulis count is low enough that he can't one-shot these Marines anymore, but a few more mutas do finish up, and Jaedong should be able to start whittling down this force, and without too much damage being sustained.
Yeah, he's going to lose the sunken colonies, but not too much more. Eventually, he will clear out these Marines, and then the tanks will go down for free. Just going to wait for a few more mutas, and this is the problem. Like, this tank push is great, but you need that air domination that the Valkyries bring, and he just was never able to reach the critical mass. Jaedong did such a good job of shutting that down with the dive in. After all the pressure he was under, he needed that win to make this work, and now a transition into mech. You're kidding me. He's actually doing it, Shin. He's actually doing what you know, you said it was a crazy build. You said he might be just crazy enough to do it, and here he is trying out the mech transition.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Saka loves to do craziness like this. A little bit of drop into the main base. Submarines getting behind the minerals, but Mutalis shutting down the second dropship. Vultures also running into the main. after those Sunkens have been picked off, but it's just not quite enough meat on the bone. Unfortunately, Jaedong's able to chew through this quite nicely. It's a shame, like, Sark is coming so close to doing well in this game, but after losing those initial Valkyries, he just doesn't have enough steam to roll over Jaedong. He's getting a third base, does have this mech transition underway. Maybe there's a little wiggle room as the game develops, but it's going to be so hard. Jaedong, with taking this top left natural, means he's got free access to a fourth gas as well. One of the hardest things on Octagon is actually getting these gas expansions secured. Another dive in on top of this army. Scourge a little bit lagging behind, but he does have Lings as well to wrap around from behind and clean up the majority of these forces. There are some units in the top left. I believe some vultures are running by the mineral line right now. Does manage to get one back here, kill a drone, but it's not going to be enough for Sark. Unfortunately, Jaedong's actually ahead in supply right now.
I mean, Sark needs like 5 minutes of Jaedong just not bothering him. He needs Jaedong to leave him alone for about 5 minutes to get another base online and get the actual mech transition rolling. And Jaedong is not that type of player, man. He has that killer instinct, and he will just run it down on you immediately the moment that he smells blood, and he is starting to do so. Has yet to take the top left. That extra base, that fourth base, should be coming up here pretty soon, but he's a majority just focusing on putting on that pressure even more. Could do to make a few more Mutalisks, actually, because it doesn't look like Sark is going to be able to afford like masses of Goliaths here anytime soon.
Yeah, like one thing a lot of the other pros have said, like the one thing that really makes Jaedong different and scary is he doesn't seem to have any latency on his decision making. He sees units on the screen and he just goes. There's no like 1 or 2, 3 seconds worth of consideration before diving in. He just pulls the trigger, like you say, those killer instincts. He's like a shark smelling blood in the water. And StarCraft is a game where those seconds really do matter, especially when you factor in players' response time and how many actions they can squeeze out in any given moment of the game. It really does make a big difference. Sark's gaining a little bit of ground. He's creating some breathing room for himself, but is it going to be enough? There's a lot of mutas running down here. I only see one Valkyrie. Needs to be careful and make sure he's got these tanks protected. He's still in a point of transition. He hasn't fully stabilized on this mech play. He's trying to do the standard thing of getting mines out onto the map and using vultures to keep the Zerg at bay while you get that transition underway. But Jaedong has just been quite relentless in this game. There is a dropship going into Jaedong's main while Jaedong's taking this fourth base in the top left. Let's see how much damage these vultures can do.
And they need to do a lot of damage here, but the main thing they've actually done is pull back these Mutalisks. The Mutalisks returning back home is a massive win for Sark. He did not have many turrets down there at that bottom center. He had a few on the way, but he didn't really have perfect turret coverage. He does decide to turn around. Jaedong coming in here to try and take a fight on top of these tanks. He kills a vulture, a Valkyrie and 2 tanks, but he's still having a hard time finishing off these vultures in the main base. He's lost a lot of his overall drone count in this main. Had to transfer out of there. Losing out on that mining time in the main base is a big deal here. Sark needs a fourth base, though. He cannot mech transition without it.
Yeah, he's got +1 upgrades on these mech units at least. It's something, but with Jaedong getting this fourth base online, he's got the Nidus Canal set up, he's got access to Defilers. Yeah, until he gets a critical mass with 4 bases, churning out tons of mech units, still going to be up against it. It's kind of a miracle that Sark is actually still in this game. I love this Lurker just blocking the ridgeline into the main base on Burrowed there. Nice touch from Jaedong to shut down any chance of harassment and run-bys from occurring. An Ultralisk Cavern on the way now for Jaedong, knowing that the Terran just doesn't have a critical mass, so actually getting into Ultralisks is very viable against mech as long as the Terran is kind of stretched thin and you can use Chaos as a ladder to climb.
Yeah, this game is sick, dude. We're gonna see a late game mech transition here with Sark. I think he's gonna be able to make it, man. Is this a drop coming in as well? Wait, there's no way he's got drop already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It's a little bit too early, right?
I think so, yeah. He might drop eventually, like onto tanks with ultras and stuff, but I don't think these overlords have anything in them.
they're just gonna back away for now. Seems like a bit of a fake. Does have a Defiler out. Oh, this run by is hilarious. These drones just gonna block here, and of course that lurker unburrowed still hanging out on the ramp, blocking out everything. It's not time for Sock to be attacking here just yet. He needs that additional base and to continue to upgrade back at home. So he's actually managed to weather the pressure of Jaedong. I really thought he was going to fall apart in this moment, but he's done a great job with those few little moves. Like that drop into the main absolutely bought him a huge amount of time.
Yeah, he's doing okay. He still needs to get that 4th base online, but at least he has a tiny fighting chance now going forward against Jaedong. And it's still really impressive how well Jaedong's been playing. If he keeps it turned on all the way to August for the next ASL season, who knows how deep he's going to go into that tournament. Some mines doing some pretty good damage onto these lings. There's so many mines to actually navigate through to get close to the natural expansion here of Sark, and doesn't have enough energy to throw down that Dark Storm Cloud. Good snipe from Sark, shutting that down. And here comes a big attack from Sark on this ridgeline. Picks off the vessel with some Scourge. He has a Defiler, needs to desperately throw down some Dark Storm Clouds, but the Lurker gets taken out before those Cheeto Dust Clouds get thrown down. There are a few Lings on the ground. Okay, that's a good follow-up swarm. Not barely able to break through Jaedong's line here. He was so close. If only he could find a way of sniping that Defiler or what have you. Maybe he could have done a lot of damage with this push, but Jaedong weathers the storm.
Yeah, Jaedong hangs on. He kills a lot of tanks there as well. Has an excellent economy at this point, where Sock is still struggling, sitting on 3 bases, and there's a lurker over here denying his 4th, so he's not going to be able to get that up anytime soon. Ultras are going to be on the way here in a moment. Run by into the main base as he starts to pressure this location. 1 Dark Swarm though, and a Defiler would be able to shut this down. Is he going to be here in time with that? He's still got the Nidus up for now, but the tanks are actually starting to hit the drone line and might start to hit this hatchery here soon. Oh, it's going to take some damage. The Nidus is getting hit. No speed on these Ultras just yet, but they're going to run out. A few more, 3 more Ultras popping out just in the nick of time. Dark Swarm on top with some Mutas coming in for the flank. He will clean this army at the last moment.
Wow, that was such a sick hold from Jaedong. Like, just when you think, oh, Sark maybe has a way of doing this, like a few seconds difference makes everything, and he just shuts it down so cleanly. I thought for a second that Nidus was gonna go splat and suddenly the game would be opened up for Sark a little bit, but the Ultralists in the nick of time, saving the day. Sark is gonna be double expanding, getting that mineral only, getting that bottom left quadrant of the map secured. But his hopes are starting to dwindle. Jaedong racing ahead in supply, and now that he's got these Ultralists with all of their upgrades, he can get Overlord drop and start bombing on top of the tanks, and there won't be a critical mass of tanks to hold off these Ultralists as well. He's going to have to rely predominantly on mines for the time being.
Man, he's been so annoying with these vultures all game, and here comes a wave of ultras towards the main. I think this is a real drop now, Shun. I think this is an actual drop coming into the main. That's going to draw a lot of the forces back for Sock, and then we're going to have Lings and Ultras hitting the front at the same time. Dark Swarm, Flying Defiler in the main base is so annoying, especially with these lurkers here, which are never going to die unless you have that irradiate. And so it looks like he's going to be able to clear out a ton of the buildings here in the main with these Lings going to work. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, so many supply depots are going to die.
Oh, he's going after the armory at the bottom as well, which is researching. Knocking out upgrades for the mech is another death sentence. The longer this game drags on, the worse it's going to get for Sark at this rate. And behind all of this, Jaedong continuing to grow. He's got another 2 bases at the mineral only and the 12 o'clock as well. Another round of Overlords loaded up and looking to keep the pressure on. He doesn't necessarily need to kill Sark with this, just needs to stifle the Terran's growth and never allow him back into the game. Sark has got this base in the bottom left, churning out some gas for himself, but he needs to trade well to have any chance fighting back against Jaedong. Look how annoying this Flying Defiler style is. It's so hard to execute with Defilers and Overlords and what have you, but Jaedong's doing a fantastic job of it, and he's whittling down Sark to an absolute nub.
Man, he is doing so good with this style. It is incredibly micro intensive, and he's dragging the mines. Oh, what a sick mind connection there to finish this game off. Sock taps out Jaedong with a 3rd kill on the board. Ooh, I can't believe they're sending out YSC here in set number 4. Wouldn't you want to send out Best to try and shut down Jaedong? Do you have no sense of not self-preservation, but self-interest to try and win this all-kill prize, or at least try to extend it into, you know, the next week? I can't believe they sent out YSC here, but here he is in the top left versus Jaedong, who's poised now to take home that 5 million won.
I've just got this like mental image of like Best shoving YSC forward and hiding behind him. Like, I don't want any of this smoke right now.
Well, that's not the kind of self-preservation or self-interest I was thinking of. I was thinking, you know, you got to send out Best here to try to shut down Jaedong. However, maybe YSC's got maybe he's got the sauce. Maybe he's feeling confident today. He's feeling like the toll god that he was meant to be. Shut down Jaedong and give a chance here to somebody else to take home that all-kill prize.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot standing in his way now. Unfortunately, after he knocks out YSC, there's just JYJ. But to be fair, JYJ, you know, he's a TVZ specialist. Maybe he can stop the streak of Jaedong and become a combo breaker if Jaedong does, in fact, destroy Toll God here. And let's not count YSC out as well. You know, he can put out some great PvC games when he's playing his absolute best. There's a chance here that he might be able to shut down Jaedong, although I kind of feel like it's a very low chance at the moment.
Yeah, it's feeling like a very low chance with the way that Jaedong's been playing today. The killer instinct, the macro, the late game prowess has been fantastic. And I mean, the way that he took out Mini as well, the execution on that attack was fantastic. I don't know what chance YSC stands here, but it's going to have to be something to do with a mid-game push, man. Like, that is the bread and butter for the Tull God, breaking you as you get onto a 3rd and 4th base.
He does have pretty good macro. You know, he's kind of like a baby Best in that regard. Maybe he can play a great mid game here against Jaedong. Needs to be careful that he doesn't get Hydra busted as well. Like, you kind of have a false sense of security with this trench in your natural expansion. You think you can get by with less defenses, and suddenly the Hydras just run up to the wall and kill you. Haven't yet seen the Hydra Den being thrown down by Jaedong, although, what is that in the bottom? Okay, there's the Hydra Den. Okay, excuse me. Is actually going for that Hydra bust style. And yeah, I feel like this was likely, because on this map, sometimes you want to do the build that the other guy doesn't expect you to do. And, you know, with that trench, you feel like you're safer than you actually are as Protoss.
Has to be said, bottom center is not the best location to rally Hydras to top left. It's a long distance, so it does put a bit of an extra toll on the Hydras that are making their way over in that direction. It takes a little bit longer. It's going to be not as powerful of a bust potentially. There's the possibility that, you know, he just tries to kill the wall here. You can just finish up your range, stand on the other side of the gap there, the trench, and just pick off the wall, take it into a late macro game, and take the advantage of shutting down the early production on that gateway and the early upgrade time as well. So we'll see if Jaedong wants to really commit, or if he's just going to go for a bit of a fake Hydra bust here.
We'll have to see. I mean, yeah, Tolbo will be thinking, well, with this 6 o'clock, a Hydra bust is slightly less likely as well. So it does also have the advantage of obfuscating the build order choice here from Jaedong. Let's see how well he can navigate that defense when it finally does come online. Needs an expensive toll booth, a toll booth for Jaedong to bypass.
Man.
And there's nothing to scout this incoming force as well. He's actually making the safety cannons. I like this from Tollbo.
He saw it with the he saw it with the probe. He kept that probe alive for so long. He saw the Hydra pop out. So I mean, that was some really good micro from YSC, and Jaedong just not on top of it with the Lings. I think it's much more likely that we see a fake Hydra bus now, because he didn't have they didn't have the ability to hide what was actually going on. He's going to kill this one cannon on the bottom. That will open up the ability to actually kill the forge here from range. So I think there's a great potential if there's going to be 4 cannons made. Like, he'll force 4 cannons to be made by YSC and then follow this up with just a kill on the wall, I believe. But he does still need to run forward here potentially to kill that bottom cannon. Otherwise, he won't be able to get the forge.
Yeah, it's looking like Jaedong could still pull the trigger.
Oh my god.
There's only 2 cannons finished up, and there's nothing to screen the Hydras from getting into firing positions. There's a teeny tiny window where maybe Jaedong could still break through, but this is a great response from Tollbo as well, like keeping the Hydras back to buy time for additional cannon to finish up and the others to get close. But he needs to be proactive with this Zealot probe force and stop the Hydras from being able to move command up to this forge and gun down additional cannons. Jaedong pulling the trigger on yet another cannon kill to open up this forge and gateway yet again, and a lot of probes are off the line. There's not a great economy behind this for Tollbo, but Jaedong is pretty committed to this attack, at least for the time being. I'm sure he's got slightly more. Oh, he actually doesn't. He actually didn't remake drones as early as I thought he may have. So this is not too bad for YSC overall. Like, I feel like he's committed a reasonable defense to the amount of aggression here from Jaedong. He's throwing down some additional cannons because he's scared. I think he can get away with canceling that 6th cannon there. 1 cannon's actually unpowered right now.
Oh, that's unpowered too. 2 cannons are unpowered. He can actually kill the forge. Oh my god. Okay, the pylon on the bottom will finish up in time.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was close. He almost would have lost the forge there, but that extra pylon finishes up. It looks like Jaedong was able to sneak out the 4th hatchery during that Hydralisk bus, so he does set himself up for a pretty good transition point. YSC, I mean, he was really close to holding that with flying colors. Like, if he had pulled his zealots a little faster when the first dive went down, because he was a bit slow. He didn't pull the zealots to the front and actually block the hydras out initially, so they got a couple of cannons. It got a little dicey there. He had to pull a lot of probes. He ended up losing some and was forced to build a lot of extra cannons. This is playable on both sides, but it was very close for to being a big advantage for YSC.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, that could have gone very horribly wrong for the Protoss there, but it's not too bad. Like, it's very playable for both sides, like you say. I think Jaedong's reasonably comfortable, but it's a bit annoying that you don't get the forge in this situation, so the mid game might still be a little bit of an uphill battle despite being pretty good on paper. Let's see how much damage this Zealot can do at the 6 o'clock. You can kind of sim city with these 2 hatcheries, and if you use the drones to block here in the mineral line, looks like the Zealots will be forced to run, but they do get a few Hydra kills. It's not the end of the world here for YSC going forward. And oh my god, YSC's taking a ninja expansion in the top right. That is so spicy. I don't think Jaedong's gonna scout that for a very long time.
No, that's crazy. This is like one of my ladder games, man. If he builds a pylon with 6 cannons on the high ground, it's like straight off of the ladder. What a crazy hidden base from YSC. And, you know, playing at this high level, you might not expect this. You really might not, you know, look into a build like this or a base like this. Whereas me playing on the ladder, I have to check here every single time because every stinking Protoss player will try this on me.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about playing on ladder. People just try and get away with things like this. It's way less common at the pro circuit, but YSC's trying it out here. I think he's even probe transferring up to the top right. That is crazy. He's actually going to get a big probe train up here as well to bolster his economy. So wild that he might get away with this. He doesn't even need to build cannons on the ramp if Jaedong doesn't scout it, but the Mutalisk needs to fly in and identify the gateway count. If he sees that the gateways have been delayed, then he might be able to figure out that there's something weird going on here. I think Jaedong saw the Dark Archon as well. That's going to help him out later on. He's actually even on supply with YSC. So on paper, it looks okay for Jaedong, but the longer this third base doesn't get figured out, the worse it's going to get for Jaedong.
Yeah, this is going to be rough for him. Like, YSC is going to be able to make so many more gateways. Like, initially, he won't have as many, but he's going to go up to like 11, 12 gateways, something ridiculous here. And he will be able to pump just a ridiculous number of High Templar as well. Way more than Jaedong is going to be expecting. Has the Dark Archon as well. So he's got all the tools to deal with this Mutalisk play in addition. And YSC is going to move forward, start to pretend to try and take this third base, give the idea to Jaedong that he's attempting to take that, and Jaedong is not going to know his position in this game. He's not going to realize how far behind he actually is.
Yeah, he's going to feel pretty comfortable with his spot right now. He's taking his 4th hatchery at the mineral only. Like, this seems like a pretty good game for Jaedong when you don't factor in that Ninja expansion. He's still doing good in a macro sense. He's actually even in supply with YSC, but this is temporary. That could change very soon. And if Jaedong continues to miscalculate the game state, he's more liable to make mistakes, not understanding just what the production capability is of the Protoss. And indeed, he does have quite a ton of gateways. He's got a couple of cannons to defend against these Mutalisks in the natural. Pretty good storm, softening up those mutas as well, and has a Dark Archon with his army to prevent too many High Templar snipe potential plays from Jaedong. Looks like Jaedong making a move onto this high ground now at the mineral only location. Good Maelstrom getting 2 of the lurkers, and here comes the Wombo combo with the storm, ripping apart this Battle Zerg army from Jaedong. Jaedong desperate to put on the pressure and deny this, what he thinks is a 3rd expansion, but actually is the 4th, and might not be anticipating the macro that YSC is capable of.
Oh my gosh, he's done so much damage. These lurkers are gonna die, man. The Maelstrom was fantastic in that situation. You usually want to hold on to that for a long time, or for the Mutalisk specifically, but he casted it at a perfect moment. This is a good move from Jaedong to shut down that 3rd, but it's not putting him as nearly as far ahead of the curve as he thinks he is. YSC is fine to let that die, remake it here, or not let it die, cancel it and remake it here in a moment, as he's just adding on masses of gateways back at home. And this the mineral only here will come online eventually. With that extra gas already running though in top right, the Templar number is going to be a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. He's got so much more money than he should have, and Jaedong's got a Hydra positioned at this 12 o'clock to make sure there's no sneaky early 4th base here from YSC, but there already is a 4th base. Jaedong could make some big errors in judgment, not knowing about that expansion, and is taking the bottom right now. So Jaedong, he's trying to play a macro game from here, but he thinks that his Battle Zerg style is doing better than it is. Oh my gosh, there's actually a Hydra here in the top right natural. I wonder if it'll actually go into the main base or not, or just hide behind the minerals. If only he checks that top right base, suddenly this game wouldn't be so bad for Jaedong. Well, it actually kills the Dark Archon there. Is a nice pickup for Jaedong, but it's not enough. He needs to identify this base in the top right, at the very least, just so he knows what better decisions to make.
There are just so many Dragoons here, man. It's kind of crazy. He's coming down the map with that massive mid-game push that we like to give YSC credit for. He is very good at these type of situations when he's got his 3rd and his 4th base online, and there's just massive numbers of gateway army coming down. Like, this is so much Protoss to chew through, man. And there are a ton of storms here as well. All the mutas are gone. There's just way too much. Like, how are you supposed to stop this? Jaedong's got to be scratching his head right now. Like, how did this happen? How does YSC have this much?
It feels like you're playing against the Protoss Flash or something, where they just have more stuff than they should. He's going to be kicking himself when he looks at the replay later. This is wild, man. There is just so much Protoss for Jaedong. He can't handle it, and there's enough High Templars to blanket onto the Hydra, so you can't even gun down the Dragoons quickly enough. Just nothing is going right for Jaedong. There's a massive reinforcement train from the rally point of YSC. Jaedong plummeting in supply. GG is called. How foolish were we for doubting the Toll God, getting the combo breaker on the Donger.
What a game. What an end to a streak there. Jaedong has been eliminated, and Toll God is spawning now in the top, in the bottom right hand corner, excuse me. JYJ in the top left. Has the opportunity himself now to all kill. Just has to make it through Soma in action after JYJ. I don't think that's going to be happening, Shun. I think we may be seeing this prize continue to grow up to 6 million, man. That's crazy.
I want to believe. I want to be like the Yugi of the StarCraft world and just believe in the heart of the cards. Maybe there's a way of building Exodia here. It's definitely a long shot, saying, but I want to believe.
Oh my goodness, this is the long shot of all long shots, but YSC. I mean, he could potentially take out JYJ. JYJ, not the greatest TVP player in the world. He's definitely more of a TVZ specialist. That's step number 1, though, in a series of difficult procedures.
Yeah, it's gonna be so rough. Like, if you said to me, like, oh, YSC is gonna beat Jaedong and Soma in this week of KCM, I would think you were a liar, saying, but that's what's gonna have to happen if he does want that all-kill prize. And how crazy would that be if he's able to do that? See how he fares against JYJ. Like you say, not the best Terran versus Protoss user, so definitely a bit of a leg up here for YSC to build some confidence and momentum going forward to do the unachievable, or at least as it seems.
Yeah, the entire season has been all these pro players trying to make that happen. And I'm very happy that we've gotten to this point now, Shun. I honestly don't want it to end. I hope that YSC is not able to make it to an all kill. I mean, as epic as that would be, this trend we've been having of just nobody able to dominate, everybody playing really well and giving us extremely close weeks of KCM, I want it to continue.
Yeah, like, as good as Jaedong played today, he still got 3 kills finally, and that's been the trend that we've seen. Most players only getting 1 kill, sometimes 2 kills, and rarely able to get that triple kill, but Jaedong continues that trend, not able to get past that 3 kill count and go for that penta, and it is what it is. Like, this has just been such a good series, season in KCM, where everything's been so tight and close between all 3 of the dugouts. The points have been very close most of the season as well. We finally had a big enough gap for a bit more of a set-in-stone semi-finals towards week number 8, but it's still been a really good season, and I wouldn't have it any other way saying I've been really enjoying these last 2 seasons of KCM.
That's been absolutely fantastic. JYJ here, getting his CC on low ground, recognizing that YSC is not in the pressuring mood. We'll be skipping his bunker here at the front, instead just putting on his own pressure with these vultures and looking to put down some mines in an aggressive posture. YSC being a bit timid with that earlier Nexus, and gonna follow it up with a very quick robo as well. And so JYJ is gonna have the liberty to throw down, extra mines here and potentially.
Ooh.
Oh, wait a second, is this the third CC?
I think so.
Mine triple, fantastic. JYJ is actually gonna get away with this, and YSC he'll have to do something pretty aggressive if he wants to come back.
This is actually a really good counter to YSC's build. Like, it's cross map as well. So the fact that he's going like 1 gate into a very quick robo, there won't be a lot of pressure from the Protoss for some time. He'll eventually have 2-gate observer to maybe start to come out onto the map and do a little bit of something, but with the cross map, with the vultures laying down mines everywhere, it's not going to be easy for YSC to actually punish this. And yeah, I feel like this is a great time for JYJ to pull out a build like this. And you know, he's not the best in TVP. I feel like he does need to take some liberties and get a little bit greedy here and there. Like, this is kind of like an eco cheese when you think about it. And I feel like you need to do something like that if you're not comfortable in the matchup. So I'm quite happy about this from JYJ.
Traditionally, this is not a build you do against what YSC has started out with. Like, usually
no.
This is a Nexus, something you do against Nexus first, but we've seen it a couple of times here and there, players pulling this mine triple out in these more defensive Protoss openers to great effect. It is hard to hold on once the Protoss player realizes what's happening. If they can get aggressive, then suddenly, you know, you're only going to have maybe 3-4 tanks covering 3 bases. It's kind of crazy how skimpy you have to go with this build, but it's definitely possible with some really good placement, and the map is going to be helping out significantly as well. JYJ, he can set up just outside of his natural and cover basically his natural and his third base very effectively with just a few turrets and tanks.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think like the main consideration here for JYJ is the fact that it's cross map on attitude. Like, this map does do a lot of heavy lifting for Terrans defensively, kind of shutting down the lanes of access a little bit to punishing a fast third like this, and still will be spread a little bit thin to kick things off. There is still a window for YSC to get in here, clear the mines on the pathway to this third base, and has a shuttle and a reaver as well to maybe harass JYJ and cause a little bit of chaos. Let's see how well he holds on to this location. A bit of Sim City being set up here by JYJ at the third base location. As long as he doesn't get caught with his pants down right away, like, the immediate threat is right here and now, where he's like barely got 3 tanks and the Protoss is knocking on your door with a Reaver. But this bunker being set up here might be able to help out a little bit in the trades. Let's see how good he can snipe these tanks. 2 on the high ground, actually going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting. 2 tanks do go down at this third base location, but shutting the Reaver out, really big win for YSC, JYJ against YSC to kick things off. It's okay to lose a couple of tanks in this situation as long as you don't get overrun.
This is a good hold. I like that YSC just went for it immediately, though. Like, he didn't hesitate at all. He just immediately dove in. Like, that was the first moment that he even knew that there was a third base here for JYJ. This is a great counterattack, sending 1 vulture around the map at this moment to get some damage. And dude, YSC allows some of his Dragoons to get baited in at the same time. 2 Dragoons down, a couple of probes as well. Gonna try to run by in the natural, get a couple more probes here. JYJ is playing a fantastic game, despite being so skimpy on the defense and having hardly anything to try and defend. He's still going out on the map and trying to get a little damage here and there.
Yeah, this is StarCraft 101, just applying pressure to your opponent while you grow as much as possible back home. Already getting the advantage with this fast third and putting a little bit of a dent into the economy of YSC will pay so much dividends in the long run. And you can see he's getting more and more confident with his setup now as more and more tanks stream out of these factories. YSC's gonna have to get a little bit greedy himself, maybe throw down a quick 4th base or something along those lines. I don't feel like he wants to get aggressive here. He certainly hasn't got the gateway count for it. So yeah, it looks like he is about to plop down this Nexus and actually gets scanned by JYJ. I'm pretty sure, yeah, JYJ just scanned the 3 o'clock and the main base just as YSC was taking it. So that's going to help him fully establish himself in this game state and know exactly what he needs to do from this point onwards.
Look at how far behind this gateway count is in comparison to the overall factory factories that are done here for JYJ, he's just gonna have so much more production than YSC can attempt to match. And it's good that YSC has this fourth base on the way, but this is an afterthought, and JYJ is going to be perfectly geared towards destroying this base and putting on the pressure. And if he gets across the map, like if YSC doesn't have the army to confront JYJ's force, and I don't think he will, as it's moving across the map, if JYJ gets established right in front of the natural, it is going to be so hard to dislodge. This position is incredibly difficult on Attitude.
Yeah, you need like god tier zealot bombs to even have a chance to defend against something like that. And as you pointed out, the factory count is doing great. I don't know, there's about 8 factories-ish, I think. You can power up onto 9 on 3 bases and max out on 9 and then just do like a 180 supply attack and usually steamroll the Protoss, especially off of a mine triple expand. Let's see what JYJ wants to do here. He might also try and secure a 4th base while attacking. That's very common when you're in these positions. Let's see how he wants to navigate this. If he can pick off these Reavers, that would be insane. He's got a little bit of tickle damage on that shuttle, but not enough to actually shut that down. But he's still advancing. He's still gaining some ground right now. YSC's in a lot of trouble, and the shuttle is at risk of falling. Indeed, it does die. Now the Reavers are going to get absolutely eviscerated, and there is not many more tools in the arsenal of Tolbo to shut down this attack. He's got a big rally point of Zealots, but I don't think that's going to be enough.
Yeah, this is the scary moment here when the Terran army makes it to your natural. He's going to try to come out and take one more fight. Late siege up here from JYJ, and he's going to be targeting onto a lot of the Zealots. He tries to retarget onto the Dragoons in the backline, but the Zealots are right on top of everything and dealing their damage. This is looking kind of good for YSC. The number of tanks that have just gone down there is giving him an opportunity to maybe shut this down before it gets into a more difficult to dislodge position.
Yeah, I mean, that looks very scary for YSC, and actually one of the better trades that he could hope for. He's not out of the woods yet. This pressure's still on from JYJ. Let's see if he can continue to get a few good trades. He's making mostly Zealots right now, trying to get on top of these siege tanks, but there was a pretty good rally of Vultures made by JYJ as well, going to be helping out in the trade a lot. This tack not being shut down as efficiently by YSC now, and the writing is starting to become on the wall. Once the Terran gets set up in these pockets, the natural map geography really works against the Protoss. Such a hard map for Protoss versus Terran. He's got a few High Templars popping out, but it looks like JYJ is going to start running away with this game. I don't see a lot of counterplay in the cards from our Protoss.
Yeah, this is the situation you must avoid here as the Protoss player. He's going to try to come down from this high ground while pushing forward with the Dragoons at the natural. He's lost the 3rd base already. So sitting here on just the natural and the 4th. JYJ just sliding down a little bit here. He's going to start to contain the natural as well. Tank sieging up closer and closer. YSC tries to take this fight, but there's a few too many Vultures in this army just mincing through all of the Zealots one by one as they start to pour out of these gateways. So you may barely start to break these tanks, but more and more forces pouring across the map. YSC is falling further and further behind. It was just that one attack that didn't go so well. GG is called, and YSC rolls through JYJ rolls through YSC. Nice. All right, so the all kill prize gonna be held over at least until next week. It's going to continue to grow. Now we get to see Soma versus JYJ. Should be a great match, honestly. JYJ, TVZ specialist versus Soma. Strongest player in the world right now, spawning in the top center.
This is a pretty good map for Terran versus Zerg, especially when the Terran doesn't get this 12 o'clock spawn, so that's already working out for JYJ. Although, to be fair, Zerg getting the 12 o'clock spawn is really good for the Zerg as well. Like, the mineral optimization you can do with a good split at this 12 o'clock location is absolutely insane. You can really crank out your builds in that location. The main threat to the Terran on maps like Sylphid is obviously these natural expansions with the minerals pressed right up against the cliff face. Like, so easy for Mutalisk to come in here and harass you, but as soon as you weather the storm against that initial Mutalisk pressure, it's quite hard for Zerg to actually secure a lot of gas expansions on this map, so it works out pretty good for Terran overall.
Oh, this is CC first? Oh,
Yeah.
damn, and Soma is going to see it right away. He's going to go for a triple hatch.
Yes.
Triple hatch before pool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is great for Soma that he's able to spot this early. Could have, you know, done something crazy like pulled drones. We saw that in the ASL, you know, try to make that work. But since he went for the early hatchery here, like, the pool is going to be so late, it's going to take a long time to get lings out. Anyway, third hatch before pool is pretty fantastic either way.
Well, to be fair, he actually did both against Flash, right? He took the triple hatch and pulled the drones to attack, but maybe not doing that this time around. I can kind of just see him throwing down the pool and calling it a day here, and being content with his triple hatchery opening. It is very reasonable against CC first to go for that triple base on location. He got a little bit lucky with the Overlord scout there to make sure that he wasn't just going to be falling behind the curve of the game. I'm happy that he's not trying to pull drones in this situation.
Yeah, we're going to end up seeing a bit of a macro game. Both players accelerating way far ahead of where they should be. Like, definitely not going to be as crisp on the timings when it comes to the layer and Mutalisk, but the amount of macro that's going to be available to Soma is pretty ridiculous. Like, this is definitely in his favor, despite JYJ having that CC first. The amount of larva that you're going to be able to get here with the third hatch before pool, it's like a exponential growth curve rather than what JYJ has done, which is just add on that extra CC a little bit earlier.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is that it's actually better than usual because it's on Sylphid and you have the third base that's like so close to the ramp. You can actually defend with Sunkens at that third base location as well. If like JWJ was to get like hyper aggressive early on, you can really shut down that aggression with Sunkens, whereas you couldn't on a lot of other maps. You know, you're on the low ground, or if you take one of the main bases, your Sunken wouldn't be anywhere near that choke point. So it actually does work out really good for Soma here on Sylphid. Doesn't really need to worry about the early marine pressure. Like, sometimes Terran can get a bit hyper aggressive to try and shut down this third base, but I don't think that's in the cards for JYJ here.
JYJ is just trying to fake out a little bit that he's putting on pressure with these Marines by pushing out just outside of the range of the Overlord and then camping with those Marines. But Soma scouts the whole map. He sees the bios not coming. He's going to set up some sunken colonies back at home as this bio starts to move forward. Ling speed finishes up. There's going to be a fair number of Lings to actually try and defend this and slow this down. JYJ pressing over towards the third base. Firebat in the wall. Great block with the SCV, pulling everything back. That was an excellent hold there from JYJ. Going to prevent that run by, and might be able to pressure this one sunken colony high ground. One sunken colony is a little bit skimpy, even though he has that high ground advantage. It could end up being broken.
Yeah, he's made a few more rounds of Zerglings to compensate. I think that's very necessary. You either double sunken that base or you make more Lings, and he's decided to do the latter. And at the moment, JYJ not pulling the trigger on making his way to that 3 o'clock base, so Soma getting away with it. Did have to make a lot of Lings, so a lot of his early lava advantage being invested in defense. That's not bad for JYJ either. Like, there's not a huge amount of drones at this present moment. That's a very quick Queen's Nest from Soma. That's like crazy Zerg timing. I don't see an Evo yet, but that is seriously fast.
Yeah, that is wildly quick. There's the Hydralisk Den. Is this going to be like a... Wait, he added on an extra hatchery. I was starting to think like maybe... Oh, wow. A Mutalisk goes down. I was almost starting to think this could be like a what's it called? Guardian play with the Hydra Den and the quick Queen's Nest. But like, that's maybe it's not really a thing anymore. Not many players are actually going for that.
Well, I mean, I guess it is kind of Hydra Guardian timing, though. Like, with the Hydra Den and the Queen's Nest being thrown down so fast, theoretically, that could be Hydra Guardian. There's the Evo Chamber now, though, so that's leading more towards not being the case. And the Evo Chamber is very delayed for it to be Crazy Zerg as well. So I'm not sure. This could just be a very fast Defiler timing, but more or less a standard build from Soma. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's a curious build here from Soma. Generally, what you want to do with the Guardian play is you throw down the Queen's Nest when the armor upgrade is about halfway done, which leads you into a pretty decent timing to finish off that, or to start the Greater Spire right as the upgrade finishes. So it doesn't look like that's what we're going to be having here. More drones potentially popping out for Soma, just getting into a macro stride. Possibly just a very quick Defiler, like you were saying, and Hydralisk Defiler as a follow-up. With the amount of macro that he's managed to acquire here early, he may be able to just hammer out enough Hydras to overwhelm JYJ.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first times we saw Hydra Defiler was on maps like Silphid, where you get a quick third base online and then you use the Hydra Defiler style to be super optimal in your trades against the Terran, so you kind of circumnavigate needing to get an early fourth gas in that sense. Let's see if that's the idea here from Soma or not. Really curious to see if this is just a fast Defiler play. Pretty big bio ball here from JYJ. He's going to make a dive here. Only 2 Songas and natural lurkers are about to hatch, but it doesn't matter because the Lings and the Mutalisks are doing such a good job of cleaning this up. He intercepted the Marine train reinforcement line initially and then had a ton of Lings to surround that blob of bio as he pushed in the natural. He didn't even need these lurkers to defend, which is crazy.
Damn, that flank was sick. Absolutely smashes the army there of JYJ, and now is going to have so much leeway here to drone and just get into a better and better position. More and more drones popping out there in the main. Should be able to get, 12 drones per base here. 12 drones on minerals per base, and that's pretty much all you need in order to hammer out tons and tons of Hydras. Then, of course, get a bunch of Defilers to overwhelm.
Yeah, the first power spike of Zerg is 1 mineral per patch, and then the second power spike is roughly 12 drones per base. That's like the main power spikes of economy for Zerg and versus Terran. And it does look like he's about at that level. He's got a Nidus Canal network being set up now to defend back at home. And after killing that first bio blob, he's pretty comfortable in this game. And as long as he doesn't get caught off guard by some drops later on, this should be a pretty good macro game from Soma. He's already doing fantastic in terms of the supply count right now. JYJ's on the back foot because of how fast this Defiler tech is. His standard timings, despite having a CC first, actually don't curve out that well against Soma. The main question will be, can JYJ contain the threat and stop Soma from expanding?
Well, Soma's gonna start rocketing up in supply here shortly. Like you don't really, it doesn't really cost that much supply to make Lings and Hydras, and so it's a little bit deceptive as to how much the Zerg actually has when they're making this Hydra Defiler style of army composition. But we're gonna see that start to absolutely explode here in a moment. And all those upgrades are going to start coming online as well. JYJ looking to put on a little bit of pressure here and there over at the third base. It's a little bit more difficult to get all your stuff into position, popping through that Nidus and trying to run out to get underneath the Overlord and burrow with the lurkers. It looks like he's got a little bit of a stack there, though, to defend. JYJ can't break that location, and so he's going to rotate back over to the main, but Soma sneaks a drone out. Are you kidding me? Okay, he will shut that drone down. Very important that he prevents that from getting out.
Yeah, he actually does get the kill on that. Very important. That's the main goal of JYJ right now. Just don't let Soma sneak out any additional expansions. It's still going to be a hard game for him, even if Soma doesn't get that fast fourth base. But a little bit of a counterattack here from Soma. Should be able to overrun these Marines and deny this third base a little bit here. Let's see how much damage he can put onto this CC. Not a lot of DPS in those Mulus plays. Great play on this bio while distracted back home. Oh, a little bit of mistake though from Soma. Loses quite a few Mutalisks as well. Sharking around with some science vessels, trying to get some irradiates onto defilers. Has to just go for the consolation prize and go for a few lurker irradiates as well. But really tough to break into this position of Soma, especially with the lurkers underneath the Overlord at the 3 o'clock. It just doesn't feel good. There's no like easy answer for JYJ, so he's gonna have to mainly play a contained game and try and keep Soma quarantined as much as possible.
Trying to slip out on the map a little bit here. Looks like JYJ will fall upon this army, but look at how much money there is for Soma right now. He's going to start spending that up here pretty quickly. Maybe need to add one more hatchery potentially to really get the macro flowing, but he is getting a base down in bottom right, and he could try to take the base over at the mineral only as well. Some vessels that have been earlier injured, taken out by these Hydras, running around trying to combine these forces with the Defiler. If you can get another plague on this army, you can absolutely wipe it out with these forces now that are spilling onto the field. JYJ has an expansion at the front, just a single forward expansion though, and no transition into mech as far as we can tell. Not even getting those extra factories online just yet, as a lot of players are would like to do, you know, getting 2-3 additional factories in the front to try and hammer out some tanks is the usual way that players are going to be taking on this style.
Oh, he's losing quite a lot of vessels to these Hydras. This is pretty brutal. Oh my gosh, loses 3 in quick succession, and one of those other vessels pretty bruised as well. Double expansion here from Soma at opposite sides of the map, so even if he is successful at shutting down one of these bases, Soma will still continue to grow. Does manage to come in here and snipe this lurker, so forces a cancellation on that base in the bottom right, turning off the gas taps a little bit for Soma, but he does have this backup 4th base in the top right, and with that Hydra Defiler style, you don't really need a lot of gas as well, so Soma going to be just fine with that for the time being, until the Terran gets additional bases online. But still, if it can be a bit of a double-edged sword for Terran, it's also a little bit trickier for them to secure additional gas expansions to combat this Zerg style and make a critical mass of tanks. 4 dropships being loaded into by JYJ. Finally going to start going for some gambles here, trying to spin to win. There is Scourge in position though in the main base to shut down some of these threats, and look at how many units are on standby for Soma as well. Might be able to shut down this drop pretty easily while also counterattacking the false high ground third base of JYJ.
Oh, this is a nightmare. Meat grinder in the main base. Oh my god, right into the Dark Swarm as well.
Wow.
Holy crap. That is crazy.
So much damage.
Yeah, that's so nuts. You've even got a sunken colony here in the main base. Dude, this is like World War I type stuff where they send you over the trench line and just directly into the, you know, the machine gun fire. Absolutely insane. Crazy attack there from JYJ. Gets totally shut down. And Soma starts to deny some mining over here for JYJ as well. Gonna get a Dark Swarm in the front, in the face, and killing off a few precious tanks here that are desperately needed to try and combat this Hydralisk Defiler force.
Yeah, JYJ blowing the whistle for his men to go over the top, and they just slowly advance into towards the absolute evisceration of those machine gun posts set up by Soma. And still keeping on this pressure at the false high ground base. Just a single lurker under a dark swarm, causing such a headache here for JYJ, who's now taking his 4th base at the mineral only location. Doesn't have a lot of gas coming in, and that false high ground mines out super quickly as well. Just like 3,000 total gas on that, so that will dry up in a heartbeat. And now Soma's gonna have an absolute field day, trading with very efficient units, just mostly Hydra, laying with a few Defilers in support, running over pretty much any entrenched position that JYJ can try and set up, and he's still getting harassed at this 3rd base location.
Man, it's not looking good here, to say the least. JYJ falling desperately far behind in his overall supply and just falling apart, man. He just cannot get this mining together. The mineral only will come online just before his main completely runs out, but there are more bases coming up, and Soma has so many forces on the map now, roaming, looking for kills, looking for army that he can start to take care of here out on the map. JYJ's lost way too many vessels as well, man. Like, there's just been so many times where Soma's been able to gun those down that we just don't have the utility in the army anymore. We don't have the tanks, we don't have the irradiates to start dealing with this, and eventually Soma will surround and annihilate this army. Here comes a plague. Oh, big plague in the middle of all this. That could be the end right there.
Yeah, that looks so devastating. He's not going to clean up all of the army right away, but more than enough to put JYJ further and further on the back foot, while Soma continues to grow, getting this base in the bottom right, and now the false high ground. A couple of drop ships for JYJ moving into position to see if he can get some damage done, but there's a little squad of units there with a Defiler in support. Let's see how quickly Soma reacts to this and instantly throws down that Dark Swarm. A couple of fire bats with this army to fight underneath that, so maybe some small ground can be gained while he's pushing out on the map. The reinforcements from Soma should clean this attack up before they can kill the hatchery. Let's see if this squad out on the map from JYJ can maybe kill this false high ground base or something. He's got the hatchery pretty low in that main down here in the bottom right, and he's going to start laying siege to this false high ground. Glimmer of hope for the Terran, but I also have the feeling that Soma's going to snuff that out before long.
Yeah, he's coming in to flank these tanks, getting the Lings in on top of everything immediately. Nice steam matrix there, but more forces arrive with the Dark Swarm. A few reinforcements coming over from the left, and a couple more lurkers move into position. So many kills on these SCVs, just destroying the economy, cutting the legs out from under JYJ here.
It's just wild that, like, Soma is styling on a TVZ specialist in such a fashion. Like, how good is Soma, man? I mean, he is the current reigning champion, got 2 stars in a row in that ASL tournament, and he's just not slowing down at all. He's looking to be Sulky 2.0 and just absolutely dominate the scene with back-to-back championships. And if he continues to play this well, definitely feel like it's gonna be occurring. Another small squad here from JYJ trying to see if he can advance into this main base in the bottom right quadrant, but I don't feel like he can. There's just too much stuff. He's losing vessels left and right. Yes, he's killed this false high ground base, but it's not enough. He needs to cut off this base in the bottom right from Soma to have any chance in this game, and the supply deficit slipping through JYJ's fingers as the seconds tick by. He's ahead by like 60 supply right now, with a efficient army of Hydras only comprising 1 supply apiece.
It's incredible how far Soma has come, man. Like, it wasn't that long ago where Soma was basically a one-trick pony playing 2 Hatch and Mutalisk pretty much every single game, and now he's playing just full-on macro builds against the best Terran players in the world without a second thought. Absolutely leans into it against JYJ here, you know, not afraid to go 3 hatch before pool and take on that CC first play from JYJ. Now going to be surrounding the final army, it looks like. 99 supply from JYJ, dipping below that 100 mark is usually when we end up seeing these Terran players start to tap out. He's going to stay in for now as he attempts to take bottom left, but he's stretching himself very thin to get these additional bases online.
Yeah, I mean, the gas would have been depleted at this false high ground long ago as well. He just getting this base kind of keeps him in the game, but not really. It's going to be like a Sauron Zerg-esque style now from Soma as he starts to stream across the map. Doesn't want to be too aggressive that he throws his army away into the meat grinder of these efficient bio units as well. But he should be able to walk over JYJ soon. He might be getting Ultralisk Cavern sometime soon just to really guarantee the game state. But he doesn't even need to do that. And he has gone for a less gas-heavy style, so he probably can get the job done with just Hydra Defiler alone. Another Plague on the vessels, and Hydra's fighting so well on the ground, and JYJ never able to muster up a large enough army to keep the Zerg at bay. Look at him, he's just walking through him with the Hydras. GG is gold. Absolute monstrous display from our reigning champion, Soma. Absolute masterclass in Zerg versus Terran.
All right, boys, what could be the final game of the night? Soma versus Best. It's been an excellent week of KCM so far. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Make sure to like the video, support in whichever way you can. Links are in the description below as always. Leave a comment, let us know what your favorite game was this week. And yeah, we'll bring you any announcements on that Patreon page as well. Seijun Duocast, check the link in the description, boys. Maybe we're gonna find some time to hang out this this summer soon. Maybe we'll end up getting together, and there may be a way that you guys can support and make that happen, as there's a BSL event coming up here soon in late August that we could potentially get Shun out to. We'll be updating you guys on that in the future. I was just talking to Shun about it before we started KCM this week, so we haven't put anything down or made any commitments here yet, but we'll be talking about it in the coming weeks and letting you guys know what we come up with.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your guys' support, and could be a lot of fun as well to link up finally, saying I think we were talking about it before, like ASL is around the same time as the event for BSL, so I had to find a way of making sure I could still do the casting for that. Would be seriously sick though. Let's see if Best has any hope at stopping Soma here. Soma makes the games look so easy sometimes, and haven't seen the best games out of Best, pun unintended. Going for a gateway expand here to kick things off. Let's see if he can actually navigate his way to a good mid game. Once he does get into the mid game, his macro is pretty much unparalleled, and he has some of the best comeback mechanics out of all of the Protoss players in this matchup. But kind of feel like Soma is a very tall order for him right now.
Yeah, it's the difficulty of making it through the early game that worries me the most when it comes to Best. If he can survive, we're in for a banger of a ZVP. I almost guarantee it, especially on this map. It should be a lot of fun, but you gotta watch out for this early game. We'll see if he can get in here, get a little damage going to start things off. Try to focus down one drone. Probe Zealot combination is pretty powerful, and at least he's drug. Oh, he gets one kill. Huge kill there. A second kill. So close, almost gets it, not quite able to. But one drone is pretty fantastic, and the amount of lost mining time is pretty overwhelming at this point.
Yeah, he's even got the probe here behind the minerals as well with that Zealot, making it a little bit harder for Soma to clean up, basically giving the Zealot +1 damage temporarily. Does finally clean out that Zealot, and the other infantry unit of Best not able to get a lot done at the third base, besides maybe denying drones being made there temporarily. But pretty good damage from Best to kick things off against Soma right away. Definitely can't sneeze at that. Getting a drone kill, a lot of lost mining time. Can he get a good surround on this Zealot? Looks like he is able to clean this other Zealot up pretty efficiently. That's a little bit of a boon now for Soma as he starts to pop out more and more drones. And theoretically, he could have gone for a Hydra bust had he known that he was going to clean up these Zealots and maybe like deny that Zealot from getting scouting information at the third. But because the Zealot was at the third, there was no way of sneaking out the Hydra Den earlier than now. So he is going to be throwing down that Hydra Den after the fact, but it won't be as crisp of a timing to punish what Best is going for.
His overall economy is just kind of messed up right now. The number of links that have been produced, the amount of loss of mining time has very much hurt this build. Like, he had way too much gas for the moment when he was ready to throw down, you know, either a layer or a Hydralisk Den. Not enough minerals, so the balance has been messed up here for Soma. He's been thrown off a little bit. That favors Best quite a lot. Like, this really does look nice for him, and he's going to be able to come out here, put on some pressure with 3 Zealots, see what he can see, while a probe slips into the natural. Dude, Best is playing fantastic. I love to see it. He should be able to get by into the main here. One drone's not going to stop him.
Yeah, does try and slide onto that probe. Gonna be denied. Gets the scout off in the main. We'll be seeing this Hydralisk Den, and that's gonna put another wrench into the clockwork engine of Soma trying to churn efficiently here. Probably not going to be able to do a whole lot with this. Maybe could still do a bit of a fake Hydra bust and put some pressure onto the wall, but I don't think he's going to get a whole lot done. Unfortunately, Best should be able to comfortably hold against this now that he's got all the information.
He's going to see a few Hydras pop out and start to make their way across, but we'll be able to add those cannons on in good time. He's adding them on like right at the last second here, waiting as long as possible before putting those down. And in fact, Soma, oh my god, he almost scouted that Zealot. That was incredibly close. Holy cow. That's actually kind of insane. Doesn't see that after scouting almost the whole map, and the Zealot's actually going to come back in and start to hit the third. That's so annoying, dude. Soma going to be very frustrated by that, and his Hydralisk bus is not going so well. So definitely Soma is having a hard time in this game so far.
Yeah, this is going to really hurt his transition. Like, he doesn't want to commit to a Hydra burst, but he wants to force a big defensive reaction out of Best while his own economy propels, and that Zealot coming in at the worst possible time, frustrating things a little bit. Supplies don't look too bad here for Soma. Maybe he'll still be okay in this game. He is like kind of a god in how he navigates precarious situations, so I still feel like we're going to be seeing a really good game going forward, and does actually get in here to put damage onto this Forge. Best might try and save this upgrade if it's close to finishing. Let's see if he does. Okay, it gets cancelled. He's just gonna give it up, and I think that's reasonable. You don't want to just like let your Zealots die for free just to save an upgrade here. Should be okay at defending the potential Hydra bust with this many Zealots and the wall of cannons, but he would have to pull the trigger and run forward with the Zealots as the Hydras come in. So his reaction times still have to be clean to make sure there's no chance of Soma squeezing out a win with a bust.
5 cannons should be enough, but it's not quite done yet. These Zealots at the front can buffer. They have to be pulled at the precise moment when Soma starts to push forward if he wants to go for that bust. It's looking a little bit dangerous here, walking that fine line. Best not making a single extra cannon in this situation, and it looks like he'll be rewarded for that. He will be able to get quite a few gateways out behind this and start to put the pressure back on with Zealots. You don't want to necessarily engage with this army. Running around it, though, is going to cause some headaches here for Soma. He will have to, you know, retreat, set up back at home, make sure that he's got defenses everywhere so no run bys can happen, and that'll allow Best to start taking map control. He can angle himself towards grabbing a third base here while killing off this Overlord at the front. He's unleashed on the map, and we are indeed into that mid game. I'm getting excited, Shun. This should be a banger.
Yeah, this should be a really good game. I love the optimizations from Best. Like, he made an absolute minimal defense already and even cancels that 5th cannon when he realizes that Soma wasn't pulling the trigger on that potential bust timing. Super impressive stuff from Best. And Soma also navigating well from the early game deficit. Let's see how good this engagement goes. He's going to try and flank with the Zealots from the north and the south simultaneously to get on top of this Hydra clump, and he is doing a pretty good job of trading with how much surface area that's available to his melee units. Soma having to retreat a little bit. Does pick off the Corsair that's harassing the Overlords, but Best has traded really damn well to kick things off. Eventually, Soma should start to hold this off and force a retreat out of Best, but Best is just trading so well, it might not even matter when he does finally pull back. He's already killed a decent amount of those Hydras. And when all said and done, it does look okay for Soma if you just look at the supplies. And I guess also there's not a huge gateway count for Best. He's making a Dark Archon because he's worried about a Mutalisk Hydra style overwhelming him. So I like the Dark Archon choice rather than just remaking Corsairs. And Soma gonna take a quick 4th base.
Quite a trade there from Best. I like the flank. He might have overstayed just a little bit with the Zealots, but yeah, he was almost able to overwhelm. Like, it was really, really close to him having too much for the Hydras, but the rallies came out just in the nick of time, and the lack of upgrades here did hurt Best a bit. He's still waiting on that 1-1. Here comes a round of mutas now, as you would expect, right? Soma, he's just so good with his mutalisk control. This is a perfect situation for him to pop a round of mutas and try to kill some High Templars so that those Hydras can really shine. Will the Maelstrom be on point, though? He must have the energy by now and should be ready to shut this down if he gets aggressive with the mutas at this point.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get that energy for a Maelstrom, and I think it's been about that amount of time, so we should have at least one Maelstrom available to him. And this is a small muta clump to kick things off, so not the most cost efficient to Maelstrom this, but he might go for it anyway. There it is now. Needs to be careful not to storm his own probes. There we go. Move the probes over to the left-hand side. Does lose a couple of probes, but killing those Mutalisks definitely worth it. Now, what does Soma want to do from this point onwards? Does he want to double down on those Mutalisks, knowing that there's now going to be like a 1.5, almost 2-minute gap where there's no more Maelstrom? Theoretically, he could make another round of Mutalisks and go for round 2, or he could just, you know, macro up a big massive army on the ground and call it a day with this 4th base timing as well. Best taking his 3rd at this natural location. It looks like Soma trying to come in for the punish to see if he can actually make a good trade here. Very tight corridor to attack into with your Hydra against Storm, so very ambitious from Soma, but he has got an insane amount of units. But that's a beautiful Storm from Best to start things off.
Damn, 1 second Soma looks away for, suddenly his Hydra army just explodes in a fury of blood there. One High Templar gets picked off on the exit. Not a bad snipe there from Soma, but behind this, switching into lurkers, very interesting. Had that lurker upgrade on the way, obviously, and is now ready to switch fully on into this next phase. Potentially going to be able to switch into Hive as well with 4 gases rolling. Still denying the 3rd from Best, but Best, it will not be denied much longer with this big Dragoon army starting to move forward. He should be able to secure center right next.
It might be a better game plan for Soma to stay on Battle Zerg until Best does secure a 3rd and starts working his way towards a 4th. And he did delay that 3rd base initially from Best, so it's very likely Soma might play wider rather than deep. And he actually does have a drone up here in the top left to throw down a 5th base, so it does look like that's going to be the strategy here from Soma, to stay on this lair tech for a bit longer at the least, and see how many lurkers he can churn out as well. If you can get about, you know, 1 lurker for every 2 Dragoons or so, that's a reasonable amount to start putting the pressure onto the Protoss and securing these key positions, and eventually try and drive a wedge behind the Protoss army. Since he has more ground he needs to cover now after taking this 3 o'clock, it's a little bit harder to defend than when you take the natural 3rd. 2 Overlords poking into the main, kind of threatening the idea of like a lurker drop or something to mess with Best, distract him a little bit.
Yeah, if he can get Best to walk and fight into the lurkers, that would be the best. Like, you don't want to run your lurkers up in a situation like this and try to aggress with the Hydra lurker army, but if he can get into a tight position, like he is going to get up on top of this fresh base. There's no High Templar up here. One cannon, best, just letting this happen. He's going to lose all his probes and his nexus. Meanwhile, gunning it across the map. So many emergency sunken colonies coming up back up at home for Soma. He knows that this is going to be potentially an all-in do-or-die play from Best.
Yeah, definitely probably needs to go all in from this point onwards. Immediately throwing down so many Sunkens with lurkers in the front. Army coming back home to wrap around and attack from behind. Maelstrom going down onto some of these Hydras. He's got a few High Templars, but not a crazy amount. Needs to be very on point with his Storms. Does get a 3-for-1 trade, but look at that from Soma, unburrowing and repositioning those lurkers on the fly as he tries to surround this army with as big of arc as possible. So far, Best keeping the majority of those forces at bay, but he's kind of drying up. He's not got a massive count of units. Here comes a rally point from Best, but the Sunkens are making it so much harder to attack into, and the macro from Soma is otherworldly. So many Hydras streaming out of these hatcheries at the other expansions and wrapping around from behind on Best. This is looking dire for our Protoss.
He let a few too many Dragoons just walk in and die to those sunken colonies. And I mean, he did have one last rally of Zealots come across the map. There's still a few more coming in from the flank, but there are so many Hydras here. And although he manages to get in on this base, he hasn't really done the damage, whereas Soma's continued to deny that third base for a little bit too long. Best is about to dry up, and this damage is just not going to cut it.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was forced to go all in after being shut down from expanding a few times, and it's just not enough for him to actually overwhelm Soma. The macro's been really on point from our Zerg, reigning champion, reigning supreme here in the KCM. Look at how many units he's able to muster. It's so crazy. Best is going to try and stay in this a little bit longer. All the little lurker egg blocks as well. Just really shutting down any potential of Best finding any kind of hopeful damage in this game. He's probably going to be tapping out soon, Sam.
Man, those, whatever, 4 or 5 sunken colonies made in the natural were so sick from Soma. He immediately recognized what he needed to do to win this game. He knew exactly the win con for Best, and he shut it down perfectly, and now Best is going to run out of money. 89 supply just cannot cut it against this massive army, regardless of if there's Hive or not. As long as the Protoss player is stuck on just 2 gases, he can absolutely overwhelm with pure Hydra and Lurker and be completely all right in this game. Long distance mining for Best. He's trying absolutely everything. Never say die. He always has that puncher's chance when it comes to a comeback. We talk about it so often that Best seems to find ways to win games that seem unwinnable, but this is too far gone. The counterattack was shut down so expertly, and there it is. GG is called. Best taps out. Final score on your screen now here in week 8. Zerg taking it with 11 points. They're going to be going on to the finals to go up against the winner of the semis, which will be next week, guys. Protoss versus Terran. Hope you're looking forward to it. This has been an absolute banger of a season, and looking forward to many more.
Yeah, man, this season's been great. I mean, this season and the last one have both been fantastic. So much closer. You can see quite a few points in this season. All 3 players were very neck and neck in their points, and the final 2 weeks of the KCM Zerg just skyrocketing up and creating too much of a difference for the other 2 races to keep up anymore. Let's see what happens though in the semifinals and finals. Still a chance for Protoss and Terran to take the whole thing in the end. Obviously the semifinals and finals, slightly different format if you guys aren't too familiar with the KCM yet. There'll be 4 players from both squads, and there'll also be a revive as well, so a chance for a player to come back from the dead and still seize victory. Been an absolute banger of a KCM season, and super looking forward to that semifinals now.
Yeah, regardless of how the points look here, I mean, every single week has been so close, Shun. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Zerg coming out on top a little bit more than these other two, but we've been down to the wire in basically every single week. I think this is the first week out of 8 where we didn't see everybody play. Action was able to, take a little bit of a break here, sit back on his haunches and just kind of rest it up for that finals. And we're going to be casting that for you guys here real soon. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, of course. Support if you can. Talk to you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.